Have you ever wondered how some people seem to have seemingly endless amounts of success? Whatever they try, they succeed at. And some people, they just keep trying and kind of failing over and over and over again. Well, I want to share with a concept with you guys that I got from the book 10x is easier than 2x. And this book is by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Daniel Sullivan. And I listened to this multiple times during my road trip, and it's really profound. It's actually quite simple, but profound. And so, as I reference my notes over here, I want to talk about how 10x is always less and why that's a good thing. So, number one, if I was to distill the book into one sentence, and this video stopped recording right now, the one thing I want to leave you guys with is that 10x, and when I say 10x, before I say this quote, that means in terms of 10xing your performance in a sport, 10xing your performance in relationships, 10xing what you're doing at work. So not just in terms of entrepreneurship, but in terms of whatever it is in your life that you have a goal for. So 10x is clarity. And what do I mean by that? So there are many ways to get to 2x or incremental improvements, to see a 25% or a 10% improvement year over year. And you think about the stock market, right? On average, it has an 8% return for the S&P 500 year over year. And the real estate market is kind of the same in terms of housing appreciation. And so those are incremental. But how do you see a 500% return in yourself, in what you're doing? The thing that's really cool about this is when you shift your mindset from those incremental returns, which there are many pathways to, right? So like, if you wanted to, 10%, you wanted a 10% improvement or a 2x improvement in your salary, there are many pathways to actually get there. There are many ways to 2x your life, to 2x your business. There are a whole lot less in terms of going 10x. There are a whole lot less pathways in terms of achieving 10x. There may be one, there may be two. And so this mindset shift is huge. And I think the book doesn't touch on this a whole lot, but I think going 10x requires an identity shift, as with any big change. So you'll hear Tony Robbins at all of his things talk about when you stop smoking. When people ask you about, what do people say when they talk about cigarettes? When they're asking somebody else if they say, "Are you a smoker?" "I'm not a smoker." It's never like, "Oh, I haven't been smoking for 5 years and 3 months and whatever." That will come up in conversation potentially, but the first thing is their identity. I am not a smoker, or I am a smoker. So 10x is an identity shift. And what do I mean by that? I mean, it is a shedding. It's like you're shedding this old version of yourself, these old, let me just get to this quote and then I'll kind of explain that. So in order to go to 10x goals force you out of your current paradigm. They force you out of your current pace and your current rate of growth, your current knowledge, your current assumptions. And so 10x forces you to literally change who you are in order to achieve it. And so 10x is less about these little tactical levers you can pull in your business and more about you as a person and how you think about your business. It's getting out of the 5,000-foot view that you've been at for a long time and going so much higher. And so 10x is an identity shift. It's clarity. It's a shift in your identity. It's a shift in how you see your world. And so I wanted to tie that in together. The one thing that I really like too, and I believe this quote is from Mark Lohr, he said something to the effect of, entrepreneurs don't want to put the horse before the cart many times, but you have to. In my previous video, I mentioned that there's never a good time to have kids. There's never a good time to start a business. There's never the perfect time to start a YouTube channel or do anything. And so you've got to jump off the diving board and figure it out on your way down. You cannot become a bodybuilder without going to the gym. You cannot become a parent without having the child. You cannot become the person for which the thing works until you do the thing so many times and you know enough about it that it now works for you. And so this was the quote from Dan Sullivan that I forgot in my last video that I wanted to share, which was talking about it was courage and confidence, I believe. Confidence feels good. It's a thing that feels good. Courage does not feel good. It's painful, it's embarrassing, it's scary. And so you need to have courage going through this, knowing that, as Alex Hormozy would say, and as I've said for many years before I heard Alex say, is either way you win. What does that mean? Either you win, like you literally win because you start the thing and you become really good at it, or you pivot, but you've learned. And so either way, you come out ahead. So knowing that, it should kind of take so much fear away from you for starting a thing and for jumping right in. But the reason it's so important, in like Mark Lohr's quote, to put the horse before the cart, is because once you're committed to doing something, you feel the full need of finding solutions, right? Like having launched a self-funded bootstrap startup, going through that, there's nothing like going through that, failing and hitting all these dead ends and checkpoints, and that the necessity of figuring a certain thing out at that level with your savings and your 401k tied up into this thing, it forces you to find solutions faster and more creatively and at a level of depth and success that you're just not going to get until you commit to doing a thing. And so don't be afraid to commit to doing anything, whether it's a relationship or whether it's a business thing. Be more worried about the regret you would have if you hadn't tried. And so commit and then find solutions on the way down. Jump off the diving board, jump out of the plane, and figure it out on your way down. Okay. I touched on this, but I'm going to mention it one more time just because I think it's so important. 10X goals force you out of your current paradigm. They force you to rethink your current level of growth, your current knowledge, your current assumptions. And so they require a different version of you. What got you here, let's say 2X or wherever you are, it's not going to get you to 10X. You have to shed that old and become this new person to get there. And this 10X thought is a way to start doing that. And so one tactical way that Benjamin Hardy talks about this in a really tangible way, even though I'm not a sports person, is he's having this conversation with his son. And his son plays tennis, I guess, and the coach says something to the effect of, I think he's in high school. The son is in high school at this point, and the coach is like, you guys should think about going pro. And that thought process created this whole different thing because they had been focusing on getting into colleges. And so now the question becomes, what do we need to do to get a tennis scholarship into a college? What do I need to do to get into the Olympics? What do I need to do to go pro? What do I need to do? It's a shift. And there are very few pathways that are going to take you to professional versus all of the many pathways that would take his son to a college scholarship. And so that's a really tactical example for you guys to mentally visualize how you can go about this. So yeah, the book is incredible. I've gone over it multiple times. I think you can listen through it many, many times because there's case studies, and every single time you'll pluck something new out of it. In fact, I'm going over it again for a third or fourth time. I can't even keep count, but I hope this helps you guys. Check out the book, 10X is Easier Than 2X. It's by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And yeah, hope this helps.